Everything is Better with Creators, the podcast that takes a deep dive into all things creator economy. Produced and presented by Whalar. Whalar, we power the creator economy. With your hosts Ashley Rudder, Emma Harmon, Jamie Goodfriend, and Marco Bertozzi.
I am the creator. And this is fresh.
Welcome to the Everything is Better with Creators podcast, our second Vidcon edition. I'm Ashley Rudder, your guide to all things happening in the creator economy. Every week, myself or my colleagues Emma Harmon, Marco Bertozzi, or Jamie Goodfriend will be hosting this podcast. Let's get into it. Have you ever wondered what happens when creators start making their passion a business? How do they shift gears and take on new administrative tasks while still making great content? Tough questions like these have sadly tripped up many promising creators, which is why Whalar hosted an exclusive panel at Vidcon called Secrets to Lean Creation. The panel was moderated by Joffrey Colin, whom you might recognize as the executive producer of this podcast. This incredible panel also features three members of the Whalar family: Sybil Grebe, Senior Vice President for Brand Partnerships, Talent Manager Lauren Hancock, and her client and Whalar creator, Kelsey Dangerous, also known as Kelsey Dangerous. For listeners who may not be familiar, Kelsey is a creator, Sims gamer, actor, and cosplayer with a massive following on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, and Instagram. So let's dive in as they delve into this less glamorous side of creators and find out how they do more of what they love and less of what they must. Let's roll that panel, please.
And now it's time to bring up the headliner of the evening. Very special. Please welcome to the stage
The Big Interview. Everything is Better with Creators.
Let's start with the thing that probably a lot of people are going to ask. Sybil, what is Whalar and what's up with the name?
Perfect. So Whalar started as an influencer marketing agency, and we evolved to be a full creator commerce company. So what that means is we have these four different parts of our business. One is technology, where we have proprietary tech that we've built to help enable brands as well as talent to be able to leverage all their analytics and really see how things are performing. The other piece is obviously the talent management side of the business, so where we stay really close to talent, what's happening on the platforms, what the trends are, all of these things, really important for us to be tapped in on that piece. We also have the brand partnerships team, which I'm on, where we're creating bespoke custom partnerships between talent for our brand partners. And I'm also on the Innovation Hub, and that's where we're building out everything within Web3. So we're launching our own metaverse. We have done NFT drops. We're doing more in the future, building video games, and really with the idea that to help empower brands and creators, we have to be creators, and we have to know how that whole process works. So super exciting to be across all of these different pieces of business. And the name Whalar came about because whales can communicate up to 10,000 miles. And if you think about creator marketing, if you have the right content creator who's already has the right voice, talking to your target audience, they're able to communicate your messages around the world. And so it's that, message at scale.
So I'm the whale?
Yeah.
Heck yeah!
Cutest whale ever.
Oh my
Done.
God, thanks. No, you're a cute whale.
How does that feel to be a whale?
I mean, it feels so... I was trying to do a pun. What? No. I'm a sea of excitement to be a whale. Thank you.
Hey, I'm going to ask you a question, Kelsey, because 3 years ago, you were out here in the audience watching
A little longer than that, but yeah.
Now you're on stage. Like, how are you enjoying sort of your journey as a creator? How has Whalar supported you on that journey?
Yeah, I mean, I started coming to VidCon as a fan and went to a lot of these kind of panels on the creator track, and then now I'm here. It's a really surreal experience, but it's been really fun partnering with Whalar because it's nice having other people on your team. Being a creator can be kind of lonely because you're just doing everything online, trying to reach out your hand, and so it's nice having a team of support that can help you achieve other bigger dreams that you wouldn't have thought possible on your own.
And Lauren, you get to work with this whale of a talent here. What's that? What's that been like?
I mean, Kelsey is an incredible talent. She's an incredible creator. She's an incredible person. We like to think that all of our talent, all of the people that we work with are just really, really lovely people. It definitely makes my job easier to work with someone as divine and as talented as Kelsey. So this is going to be a bit of a love fest, guys. I just want to give you a bit of a heads up there. But yeah, she's awesome. We have a great team. Shout out to our agents at UTA as well, if they are in the audience, Kelsey's agents. We have a really, really wonderful team around us.
So let's get into the topic of lean creation. If we think about lean manufacturing, Toyota used to use it to make cars. Sybil, why should we be thinking more about this? What are the conversations that you're hearing out there in the industry on why it's important? And also, how do others sort of adopt it, take on some of this thinking?
Absolutely. I think, one of the challenge for creators as well as for brands, anybody who's trying to show up on all these platforms, is that there are so many platforms and there's only so much time in the day. And so it's really how can you be very thoughtful around the content that you're creating and be able to repurpose it, do longer form content, be able to do cut downs, use it on different channels so that it's still authentic, it's still reaching your audience, but you're not having to reinvent the wheel for every single platform. And I think that's kind of the heart of lean creation. The other piece that I'll add is really batching content creation. So we recommend this for brands as well as for creators. There's a lot that goes into, and I'm sure you can speak to this even better than I can, but just around the left brain, right brain side of creating content. And sometimes it's easier to kind of figure out, okay, here's all the pieces of content we need. Here's the key messages we're trying to communicate. Okay, now let's get creative, figure out what that script is. And then let's go shoot everything. And then let's go edit everything, kind of all at once, so you're not having to jump across the process every single day. So I think that really helps to kind of bring it all together.
Kelsey, Sybil brings up an interesting point. Are you one of these creators that's working 24/7, 7 days a week? How do you sort of, structure your world?
Ooh, good question. So for me, I came from traditional media. I actually started at BuzzFeed. So I started at a company that had work hours. And when I first started coming there, it was very easy to just get sucked in and just what? It's 9, 10, 11 p.m. I'm still at work. How funny. And then over time, it just, you can really get burnout that way. And so I had to learn, my manager at BuzzFeed was very kind to help me learn boundaries with work and be all right, at this time you should go home. If you're not working, you can go home. You should, take time to yourself so that we get the best version of you. You can't pour from an empty cup, so you have to take time to refill your cup in order to keep going and being your best self. And so when I started doing content creation independently, I kept those hours. So I have not slipped into too much of working too much on weekends or in evenings. I work as a normal business. I start my work day at 9 and I end it at 6, and then I maybe do one couple hours on the weekend, and that's it. So if people email me or things like that need to be adjusted, they have to wait for the next business day, because it's so easy as a creator to just be your whole life is anything can be content. I'll be sitting with friends and they'll be ooh, this thing is happening, and it's so easy to just want to whip out your phone and be oh, I got to make something here. But I think having the time away gives you more creativity and more time to focus on the things you need to do. And obviously then it gives you more freedom when you are out and you find something really entertaining to be oh my gosh, I have such energy to want to capture this, versus feeling this need or this requirement of, oh my gosh, what's going to be my next thing? When should I do this? To take the time to step away is, I think, very important.
So that's interesting because it's sort of the opposite of what we think most creators would do.
I think I am the opposite of most creators, to be honest. I think a lot of my friends, they'll be filming at 4 a.m.
That leads me to ask Lauren the question, all right, so how are you managing all this in terms of the fact you have this lean business here?
It's definitely, being a creator, it truly is a lifestyle. It's not just a career. It is, as the industry has changed so much, especially with the rise of TikTok, like Kelsey was saying, there's so much happening at one time, and there are so many different platforms. I think she's the perfect storm in terms of the types of platforms that she is across. She's on YouTube, she's on TikTok, she's on Instagram, she's on Twitch. That's a lot of content. So I think, coming back to what Sybil was saying earlier, that when you find ways that you can syndicate your content across different platforms, make sure that you're editing, your TikToks outside of the app to make sure that you can use that content as a reel. Using YouTube content, pulling that and turning it into podcasts and things like that. I think that there are really creative ways that you can diversify your portfolio of platforms and really do it in a way that you're not going to completely burn yourself out. Because hands up here, how many of us have experienced some form of burnout over the last 2 years, particularly in the pandemic? We know that it's been a crazy time. And I think, we feel it both on the creator side and the manager side. And I think it's really, really important, just as important as it is to be consistent with your content. I think that it's really important to build a team around you that, if you're not feeling it or something's going on in your life, that you can say, hey, I need to take a break, I need to take a week off, and that's absolutely fine. I think that's
having boy problems, Lauren.
Yes, I love to hear the tea. Tell me what's going on. Do we?
My brain is out to lunch. Can we push this a day?
Yep. And you have to be, mental health is more important than ever, especially with the rise of the internet and the influencer economy. I think that especially with some of these younger generations I shouldn't say kids, but, these younger generations coming through the ranks on social media platforms, the internet is a terrifying place. And especially once it goes out into that realm of TikTok and some of the comments and whatnot, if you need to take a break, do what you have to do. It's just as important as consistency.
So managing expectations is a good thing to...
Yeah, I feel like I didn't really answer your question with that. I kind of...
What was the question?
Yeah, please.
I was going to jump in from the brand side too, because as we're talking about schedules and creation, and one issue that we see a lot of times from brands is they'll say, oh, we want this content to go live on this day, and the influencer schedules it and is they've set their calendar aside, they get everything ready, and then the brand doesn't approve the content in time. They approve the content, maybe it's 1 day late. But what the brands also have to realize in setting expectations on that side is that 1 day late of approval for the talent may mean you missed that window for them to post. So it's not going to go late 1 day on their channel, it's going to go maybe 1 week. And so just knowing that those numbers are not necessarily a one-to-one.
Yeah.
That definitely depends on the platform, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't have a schedule on TikTok or Instagram. Some people might, but if you want a Twitch stream, I'm not going to do a bonus unless it's specifically outlined, predetermined. You're going to want it to be in my schedule because my audience won't know to come.
Yeah. Yeah. She posts on, her YouTubes are very specific on the days that she posts, and her Twitch streams. And I think in terms of up-and-coming creators, being consistent not only with your content, but with your audience. So they know when you're posting, they know when to expect your content to go live. I think that that's really important in terms of engagement. Also, the word engagement, we all hate engagement at the end of the day. We love to hate it, we love to love it, love to hate it. I think that the ebbs and the flows of engagement, you have to be really important as well, coming back to that mental health element. Go with those ebbs and those flows, and don't let those down times affect the positive times. You have to have those dips in engagement to appreciate the times that you have that TikTok that goes viral or whatever that might look like.
Sometimes that's especially hard with doing lean creation, right? Because you have to pre-plan everything. Not everything is exactly perfect for the platform. Maybe I'm pulling a Twitch stream and putting it onto YouTube, and people are like, well, I wasn't there live, so I don't like it as much. It's sometimes it is hard to balance the creativity and specifically making things for the platform and for that platform's audience versus trying to be a little bit more lean and reutilize things. It's a really tricky balance to kind of strike both. So sometimes it's just okay to be things are filler. It's okay to put stuff out that might not hit with everyone. So long as you're, that is maybe conserving energy for the big stuff that you're really excited for.
And with lean creation, there's a tendency, especially at a lot of events like this, to talk about the creative side or the creativity that goes into it. But then there's the other side that we always sort of want to forget about, which is the business aspect. Again, 24 hours a day. What's happening on that end? I'll start with you, Kelsey. You have set hours that you create, But where's the administrative side? What happens when you're having to get involved in the business negotiations?
Well, luckily I have a team to do the negotiations. I hated when I didn't have a team and I had to be like, these are my rates. And then you'd have like an actual business person going, are they really your rates? And I'd be like, I don't know. I guess not. It was so easy to get intimidated. So, but like, you know your worth. Stand down, like until you get your people to fight for you. You got to fight for yourself. You always have to fight for yourself in the end, but yeah, I think with like day to day, it's really easy to be like, oh, content creators, they just like pick up their phone and like film a thing and then they're done. But there's so much of work that goes into filming everything. Like even today we did a brand deal, and I had to this morning wake up and think, okay, they don't want the music on TikTok or whatever because TikTok music is obviously owned by people. So I had to like go and find like some music that wasn't royalty-free music. Thank you for the words. And then I had to put it in Premiere and like make it into a video to like export it onto my phone so that I could put it into another platform and then take the video off and put it underneath the video. And this was all this morning just to like prep for the day. And then we had to run in and take all of the content. We had to take like a bunch of different things. And then and they were like, all right, we can't wait to see it. Give it to me as soon as possible. So then I had to run into another room and like edit everything together on my phone and like put everything. It's like a lot of steps, you know, like I had to go in and know what shots I needed to get in order to get everything so quickly because we only had so much time to be there.
Professional photographer, videographer.
Yeah, my videographer had to be there, you know. So it's a lot more of like the editing. The editing always takes the most time, I think, with like content creation. That's why like Twitch is kind of nice because you don't have to do that. But
wait. You mean the 60-second video doesn't take 60 seconds to create?
I know, right? So many brands would be so surprised that it takes hours to create that one 30-second video that like I posted today. So yeah, there's just a lot that goes through it, and the creative part is fun, but it's such a small part that I feel like I'm just hustling all the rest of the stuff through. It takes a bit of organization to know like, okay, I need to get all of this stuff done in order to make the magic happen.
It's a highly logistical job, and I think that a lot of people don't realize that, you know, on both the manager and the creator side. Like we could have one TikTok and you could have over 100 emails on that thread, and it is quite often the smaller ones that you have that type of back and forth, and like the bigger ambassadorships, typically they can, not always, but they can be a little bit more seamless. But you know, in terms of creation from a brand perspective, and I'm sure you can speak to this as well, is that, you know, if a brand is booking a talent across one certain platform, like there are so many different Kelseys, and whilst her followers follow her because of who she is, the version that they see on Instagram is probably a little bit more curated. The version that they see on TikTok is a little bit more playful and fun. The version that they see on YouTube is like long form Kelsey, like her own TV show. And then Twitch is in real time. So there's no room for mistake if she's gonna, you know, drop the F-bomb, not that she ever does. Something like, you know, if there's anything like that happens, like you can't mute that, you can't bleep it. It's very much in real time. So I think that from a brand perspective, when they're looking at how they're looking to work with talent, I think it's an important step to think, okay, do I just want to book them for one Instagram post and whoever sees that, and then we'll move on to the next creator? Or do we want to do like a multi-hyphenate channel, and do we want to book them across YouTube or TikTok, and we'll syndicate that to their reels? And, you know, are we going to do like a 6-month program that, you know, a consumer might see this piece of content once, and Kelsey might post for a second time and they might miss that one, and then they'll see it a couple of months later, and it might be like, I don't know, a lipstick that she's using all the time, and the 4th time they see her using that lipstick, it's like, wow, she really loves that brand. I think I need that. You know, so I think it's that resonation from a brand perspective, that there are just so many options to think about these days when it comes to content.
Yeah, especially if you're posting like branded content like across platform. That's also a very like helpful day to do like lean creation. Try to like pitch ahead of time, be like, can I use certain things from certain things across platforms so that they're all more cohesive? It's hard when you're like, they're like, we want 5 separate things of content with everybody has a different message. And you're like, awesome, cool.
I think, you know, one of the other things too, working with brands when they're first starting to work with an influencer or creator, they're looking at, okay, they know why they love that creator. They don't always do a good job of communicating to the creator why it is they chose them. And so one thing I think is really helpful from the brand point of view is pick 2 or 3 past pieces of content that person has created and tell them, like...
It would be so amazing if people did that. They'd be like, I love this. And I'll be like, oh, I can do that. I've done it already.
Exactly. It just helps because, when I'm working with a brand, we're living so much in the brand day to day. We know what their messages are. We know what they're looking for. We know what their target audience is, all of these things. And then if we bring forward a creator and we say, oh, we think Kelsey would be great for this, they agree, but then they don't always communicate why. And so that's one of the things I definitely work with brands on is, and I think another aspect of lean creation, it helps the creator to create the right thing the first time. They know exactly what you're looking for. And you can give them a couple pieces of like, we loved this about this one. We loved that about that one. And we think, something kind of like this, but just interject our brand into this type of video. Boom. Like they already are footing to the same idea. And I think it just makes it so much easier.
You can also do that on the creator side. Like you can have certain buckets that you normally do. So like, for example, you'll probably see this a lot on TikTok or something. They like have their certain like format of their video, like, hi, I'm Kelsey and I'm here to review this blank thing. And you just keep doing that. Like maybe I'm just reviewing a bunch of like cosplays that I got all on Amazon, right? Like I just bought a bunch of cosplays and I compare all the different ones for your like best Halloween. I think I did that once. Yeah. And so like if you start kind of having a habit of like, oh, that one's working with my audience, it's so easy to then put that in front of like, maybe have 3 different ones like that and put them in front of a brand and go, this is normally what I do, which version? So you're not like, reinventing the wheel every time someone like wants to work with you. You're like, oh, I have this that like I do reviews of, costumes. I do the taste tests and then I do, whatever. And then you'd be like, how can we best like integrate the brand into this content that I already do? I already have a format for, I already know what I'm doing and my audience already likes. And that's like, I think the easiest part of like a lean creation on different platforms is like already in your mind knowing, okay, like this is my format and this is what I come back to again and again. And that's also part of the fun of like content creation is like, like almost thinking of it as science and like testing again and again. Okay, my audience really loved it when I did this. Is it the costume I was trying on that they liked, or was it me reviewing it? And then if I do it again with a different costume, no, it didn't work. Okay, maybe it was that I was doing a Lola Rabbit cosplay from Space Jam. So maybe I'll do more Space Jam content just to see if they just really like Space Jam, and just kind of like playing like that. I think certain platforms are easier to do that with, especially like the platforms where you can put out content quicker. It's harder on like YouTube because you maybe get like 4 videos a month and then you're like, well, you have to wait for the data to come back after like a week, but
we also love creative freedom brands. If creators are very aware of what their audience resonates with, and I think when brands leave their briefs open to interpretation, that's not that they can't share key messages and like an overall gist of what the campaign looks like, but Kelsey knows what's going to resonate with her audience the best and what's going to perform for the brand, and there's nothing worse than going live with a campaign and the brand comes back and is like, this didn't do as well as we thought. We're like, it was an infomercial. It was very
had way too many points that you wanted me to make, and I had to say every ingredient in your product.
And it's really hard, but there is only so much you can do as a manager and as a creator in terms of trying to, and I think it's a lot better than it used to be. I will say that the industry has changed a lot over the last few years. So, and we love our brand partners. We don't mean to throw any shade.
I'm not throwing any shade on anyone. I love you all. Yeah. But also, that's the other thing is that I do love them all because I chose them. I don't like work with because of your audience trusts you, and so you want to make sure to that matters to me. I watch content creators and use their recommendations for my everyday life too. So like if I wouldn't actually use this product or buy it myself or like really endorse this TV show or watch a couple episodes myself, I wouldn't probably talk about it on any of my socials because I want it to be authentic.
So lean creation, I mean, obviously it's not new. It existed, for several years, even before sort of, I would say, TikTok blew up. But question for all of you here, and I'm probably not the first person that's said this at Vidcon this week. A recession is looming. Brands are already talking about cutting back on budgets. how important does lean now become with the economic forces or conditions that await us?
Yeah.
Sybil?
Well, I think it's interesting because I feel like one thing that you typically see is this shift from TV budgets going to digital. And right now, what we're really seeing is, it used to be like the cord cutters was the big thing. Then it became the cord nevers. And now it's the ad nevers. So there's a whole generation of people that you cannot reach through traditional advertising. So 40% of content that people are consuming is actually created by creators. Completely different than when I was growing up and it was like you had like PBS and like 3 channels if you got the rabbit ears like in the right direction.
What was the first thing that you said? I have no idea. What, like cord nevers?
Cord nevers.
Is
so
that-
so
you said like ad nevers, and I was like, I don't know what these words mean.
so they're cutting the cord. They're not getting cable.
Oh yeah, I don't have cable.
Yeah.
I'm
Did
one of
you
those.
ever have cable?
No.
Okay.
I mean, as a child, I think my parents
Your
did.
parents probably had it. Yeah. So basically, you're a cord never. Yeah. So and I think there's ad blocking. There's all these different things, but people are also on platforms that if they're they're blocking ads everywhere that they can, and you also like looking at trust. And I think if brands are looking at, okay, what's the most lean form of like getting our message communicated more broadly, creators are going to be a huge part of that. And part of that is that trust dynamic in terms of, if a brand comes to me and says like, we make the best cars, I'm going to be like, yeah, of course. But if a friend of mine who is super obsessed with cars is like, oh my God, I just bought this car and it's so fun to drive and all these different things, then I'm listening because I trust that person. And then if I'm served a brand-led ad following that, I'm much more open to that. So I think that in our line of work, I think that we're going to see, the same, if not even more in terms of budget, because they're going to be leaner in other disciplines. And I feel like where they're going to be focused most is what's actually performing, what's actually reaching those target audiences, which is going to be, social media and creators specifically.
So you're positive about the outlook. That's what I'm taking away.
I am. I mean, I think at the beginning of COVID, there was that fear of like, what's going to happen? How is this going to work? And I feel like everybody in creator marketing was like, we couldn't work fast enough. I mean, it was just, there was so much.
Yeah, that's actually a good question to Lauren. I mean, what was it like during the pandemic? Were the phones ringing so much that you couldn't even sleep at night?
Not going to lie, living in New York City, it was a scary time to be in the city. And I remember we were all like, oh my God, we're all going to lose our jobs. This is the end. And it was an awful time, but I think it was a surprising time for a lot of us in this space because the influencer economy boomed. And I don't think any of us realized just how much of a positive impact. I mean, we are the future of marketing and advertising. And I think that, like Sybil said, the Coachellas of the world, all of those budgets were pulled from events, from TV, and they were put into the digital space. And I think that itself, like having so many amazing talent and creators at home doing not much else but to make TikToks. And I think that we've seen so many amazing talent come out of that time.
And that's when TikTok boomed too,
Yeah.
like just as a platform. That's when
Yeah.
everyone got on. I was on TikTok before COVID, but a ton of my like coworkers were all like jumping onto TikTok because they were just bored.
Yeah. I think in terms of a recession, it's looming. Is it here? TBC. But I think that it's going, we just have to be really patient. I mean, I think that it's going to ebb and flow. I think that creators need to be conscious of their spending and conscious of, if there does need to be a little bit more flexibility in terms of rates, be a little bit more flexible with those rates during that time, because I think it could be a difficult time, especially for, the tech industry and things like that. But then I think there are certain areas of, the finance space. We have some incredible finance creators, and I think that could be a really interesting time for them. I know I follow a lot myself, and seeing them all speaking to the recession and tips on this and that, I'm like, yeah, I want to know more about this. So I think certain spaces, just like we saw the beauty industry boom over COVID, I think that gaming could be a great one that we see,
Gaming definitely boomed over COVID.
positivity and, TBC, let's see what happens. I think that there will be, influencer marketing overall as an industry and talent management and talent and creators. I think it's been like this since the pandemic happened. Maybe it'll level out a little bit, but it's not the end. I don't think we have anything to be concerned about.
And Kelsey, how about you? You're on the creator end. I mean, do you feel like you've slowed down at all?
I mean, as a human being, nah. But I mean, I have no idea. I don't pay attention to. Honestly, you were asking, and I was like, "Please don't come to me. I don't know. I am afraid, and I hope for the best."
Don't worry, we'll keep you busy.
That's why I have these people around me to have a team. But yeah, I mean, the other thing about creation is like, you don't really need a lot to do it. So like, you could just, if you have your phone and you're at home, you make content, and that's pretty much like what came out of COVID. So.
Yeah. And I think that's one piece too. It's like also when you look at advertising budgets, if you're working with the creator is the team that's writing the script, the team they're the actors that are in it, they're the editors, they're putting music behind it, and they're the platform with reach. So you're getting all of these things in one place. And ideally you're boosting it with paid media as well, so that you're really maximizing that ROI in terms of people that are seeing it. And a lot of platforms are kind of in that pay to play model at this point, but I think that's another efficiency or another form of lean creation, basically, is just instead of going and hiring all these different teams or different people to do this one job, you have all of these jobs being created by this one amazing person. I like this.
A lot of tiny hats fit on this head. Thank you.
That reminds me of like sort of the evolution of influence. I mean, if we look back, like the 90s, you had celebrities. In the early 2000s, you had
more
reality
celebrities,
TV stars, and D-list celebrities. 2010s bloggers and influencers. 2020s creators. What's that mean? Not to put the future hat on, but is this a thing now where we're just basically moving toward? Is the 2030s artificial intelligence where we don't have any people, or where are we headed with this?
There are some AI creators. Well, not really AI, but there are some like digital like creators that are not people that are just like animated. Yeah. They're really cool. I love
my
them.
question there is just, we've if you think about like what's behind a celebrity back then, it's a mass of people, probably this entire room. Now it could be one person. Yeah. I mean, how much leaner can we get before there's nothing else to cut?
We will all be holograms, and we'll be like...
I would have loved to be a hologram.
Just be NFTs
in the metaverse.
We'll all be NFTs. I don't know what that means. Which maybe I'll be stuck in the past then. I don't know. Yeah. I think that's part of the fun, is that like, you don't know. Like there'll be some new platform maybe like next year that blows up and we're all on that one next. Who knows? I think that's part of the fun of being in a digital space, is that it's always changing and evolving. And so there's always new opportunity and always new chances of like breakout creators. There were people that were like wanting to be on YouTube, and then they like blew up on TikTok after like a couple things, and that's their whole career now. You never know with the internet. It's fabulous.
Yeah, so if I had to ask everyone to sort of put their futurist hat on, let's pretend we're here a year from now. We'll start with you, Lauren. What do you think we'll be talking about, especially in this space?
I honestly have no idea. I think that, looking back at, from when I started as a talent manager in 2015, the word influencer didn't exist. There were bloggers. And that was really it. And everyone had a blog, and you'd invite them, to a restaurant opening, and they'd go and write a blog about this restaurant opening. And it was just such a different world.
Cute.
That was, 8 years ago. It really wasn't that long ago. And I think just how much the industry has really turned to hypergrowth over the last 2 years is just so incredible to see. And, I find that I'll go out for dinner with friends, and they're like, tell me what you do. Like, how do you, everyone is now so curious about our industry, and everyone wants to kind of, these kids are coming out of school wanting to be creators. They don't want to be, we need doctors, so please, let's hope that some still want to be doctors, but they want to be, creators and talent. And it's a really exciting time for this space. Where will we be in a year from now? I have no idea, but I can't wait to see.
Awesome. Kelsey, what do you think?
I don't know. I feel like we'll just all be talking about TikTok, like even more than we are now. I feel like TikTok's just going to grow. Other than that, I have absolutely no idea. I hope there's like a fun new dance thing that everyone's doing next year. I love the new
We
dance
should start
thingies.
one.
I think some of our TikTok creators are going to, I think they'll go more into the traditional space. Maybe it'll go backwards that, some of these TikTok talent that we're seeing now, like they'll be on the big screen. I think that it's funny seeing, I come from a modeling agency background and, models want to be actors, creators want to be in music. And it's like funny to see that flow and effect that I think that creators are the new celebrity. If you ask a 16-year-old, who's your favorite celebrity? Like, my day, not that I'm that old, but I'd be like Leonardo DiCaprio, or like, I don't know, what does my mum think? Brad Pitt. Whereas now it's like TikTok creators, like they are the new wave of celebrities. So
That convergence for you, Kelsey, if you think about it, if someone came to you and said, hey, we want you to do more traditional things, I assume
I also
you would
do
jump
those
at that.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I came from that background actually. Like I like studied as an actor first and like in telecommunications.
So it's almost like going full. You would.
I went
It's
like,
almost
so that'd be weird. It'd be like a little circle. I was like, oh, I started here, and then whoa, it turns back around. I think that does happen a lot with a lot of creators. I think as they get older and they have different experiences, and then like I think a new crop of people come in and like start kind of from the creation side and then get more and more polished. I think that's just a natural progression because otherwise, like, how would creators grow and change, right? Like you make your like gritty stuff at home and like, whatever. And eventually if you do become popular, you're going to have more like money. So then you'll be able to have bigger budget TikToks. And then you're going to try to do new things. Like there always has to be something to be reaching for and like growing towards. I think at least as me personally as a creative. So I think it's like, that's what's exciting is like there's different pathways to different like careers and jobs for creators. I don't think TikTok dancers are going to be TikTok dancers when they're 40, so they're going to be doing something else.
building a long-term
And there'll be new
career.
dancers.
Like writing a book, becoming an actor. There are so many different pathways from just being a creator.
Yeah, and that's what's so exciting about working with people like you is that like my hopes and dreams for like other opportunities in my life now that I am a creator can like open other doors.
Sybil.
I'm sitting on the Innovation Hub. I'm very excited about Metaverse, and I'm excited about NFTs. I'm excited about creators being able to really own content in a different way. Because if you think about it, Facebook owns your content. Like if you're putting your content on Facebook, it's there. If you're putting it on TikTok, it's there. It doesn't belong to you. It's on the platform, and the platform is making money off of it. And maybe they share some back to you. YouTube, I think, does probably the best job of that, much more transparent than the other platforms. But what I think will be interesting to see is as creators and all of us are able to own our content in a different way, and anything that you're creating, be able to tie that to you. That piece, I think, is going to be really interesting to see how that evolves. I think we're still very early days. Everybody's still looking at like what is the metaverse. Obviously, right now there's multiple different metaverses. Whalar, we actually have an internal brand that we own that is literally just our test and learn brand. So we're going to be launching our own metaverse this summer, and it's a place for us to like really test out like how does this work. And I think with that, it's are these metaverses metaversi? Like, can we like make a new word? I don't even know if is that a thing.
Metaverses. There. What is the plural? of that?
Yeah, metaversi. It sounds like Versailles. It sounds very fancy in French. But will they all come together? Will it be, the idea of interoperability and like, if you create an outfit in one, can you bring it over to the other? Can you own these digital items? I think that's going to be really interesting to brands, but I think it's also going to be really interesting to creators, as they're creating content or they're creating, items within games that they can sell. Like their swag could be NFTs. And then what does that start to look like? And, as a creator, you create an NFT. We should do this. You create an NFT, we sell it within a game. And then what's cool about the NFTs, so non-fungible tokens, is that every time that item sells, the original creator can make money off of it. Unlike now, if you're an artist, you make this amazing artwork, somebody buys it, then, okay, they own it, you become more famous, they sell it, they make all the money, you make nothing, you're the actual artist that did it in the beginning. It's like this crazy, so I think that I'm very curious about with NFTs, and I think, obviously we're in crypto winter right now, and everyone's in like duck and cover mode, but I think it's really interesting looking at what may come out of this in the future, because if the creators are being rewarded by creating NFTs, then I think it's going to inspire the creators to be creating these types of creations, which means if that's where the art is, if that's where the music is, if that's where the cool content is, then that's where people are going to go. So everything's driven by the creator. So I think rewarding the creator is a really interesting kind of direction to look at.
All right, one thing to take away if the audience, when the audience leaves this room, besides saying, "Oh, geez, these people are a little, interesting," what's one takeaway we can leave for the audience, Lauren? Specifically around the, lean creation.
Yeah, I think for creators, don't be discouraged by the bad days. Like I said before, you can't have a rainbow without a little rain. And I think the number of phone calls I've had from talent being like, my engagement's really dropped, or X, Y, and Z. You have to have those moments to grow. And, you can't always be at 100%. You can't always have those, incredible days of engagement. And I think you have to run with the ebbs and flows and just don't let that get you down. Keep doing what you're doing. And, you are the future. Excited to be a part of it. You should be too.
Kelsey?
I mean, I was sitting kind of where you all were, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago, and listening to a bunch of creators on the stage talking about what creation was. I think at the end of the day, what I valued most and what I would do over again would be to as much as you can, find your tribe within the creator community. I was a very small creator, had maybe a couple hundred followers on YouTube, and I found other creators that had similar passions or were doing content similarly in a similar ballpark as me, and we just lifted each other up. We commented on each other's stuff, and we watched each other's videos, and we tried to share each other's stuff. And I think creation becomes more fun the more people, more friends you have along the way, and I think it makes it less about the getting ahead and the numbers and whatever. If you're kind of just supporting each other and building each other up, it can be a competitive group. And I think at the end of the day, the more people in the community, actually the easier the process is. I got signed by Whalar because a friend of mine who's also a content creator was oh, here's my manager, I love her, I think that you'll love her too, here's her number. And the more you can have friends that'll have your back, and other people, and then reaching a hand out to you, the more you can reach a hand out to other people, we all rise together. So I think that's what I would probably say to up and coming creators, or just creators in general.
Love that.
Sybil?
So I'll speak to the brand point of view. When you're looking at partnering with a creator, the most important thing is to find the right person that's already having the right conversation with your target audience, and then work with them in a way that's authentic to them. Arm them with as much fact as possible, but what I like to do is give them, okay, here's a bunch of different key messages, but pick the one or two that make the most sense for you, and let the creators create.
We hope you've enjoyed what you've heard and will come along with us as we navigate this journey to the promised land of the creator economy. Make sure to subscribe or follow our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or wherever you like to listen to audio. And if you get a chance, we'd love a rating and review. I've got to send a special thanks to Sybil Grebe, Lauren Hancock, Joff Colin, and Kelsey Impeachade, yes, also known as Kelsey Dangerous, for dropping all of those incredible gems on that panel. Make sure to check out more from Whalar and all things at the intersection of a talent network, brand partnerships, technology, and creativity at Whalar.com. And don't forget to step into our community by following us on Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. For Everything is Better with Creators, I'm Ashley Rudder. We'll catch you next time.
Everything is Better with Creators is produced by Whalar. Whalar, we power the creator economy. Learn more at Whalar.com.
Whalar, Adweek's 2022 Creator Agency of the Year.